Can everyone hear me okay? Shawnee? Okay, great.
Sounds good. Yep.
All right. Shawnee, if you wouldn't mind, just brief hello, that would be great.
You bet. Kick us off. Good morning, everybody. This is Shawnee Rechtenbaugh, State 911 Coordinator located over in Pierre. And just wanted to say a quick welcome and thank you for taking the time to be on the webinar this morning. And as you know, this is kind of a follow-up to the email information that we had sent out a couple weeks ago. And we just wanted to provide an opportunity to go through that in a little more in-depth. And then some opportunities for questions and dialogue with the GeoComm folks and just hear what questions you might have and how things are going. So just wanted to welcome you, and I will turn it over to Christy from GeoComm.
Great, thank you. Hi, my name is Christy Hayes. I am the project manager for this project that we were doing with the state of South Dakota on the DIME system. And I know most of you have heard me before over the last couple of years, so thank you for letting us take a few moments of your day today to kind of provide you an update on where we're at with the system and the GIS data statewide. What I'd like to do is just a couple housekeeping items. We do have this session being recorded, so we will put this out on the state 911 website to be able to access, just in case you know somebody that might want to listen that couldn't make it today. It is being recorded, and we'll get that posted. Also, if you have questions, if you could use the question box in the panel on the right side, I believe it's on the right side of your screen, and we will answer questions as we go along the best we can. So we'll go ahead and get started. I'd like to do a few introductions. We've got a couple members from our GeoComm team on the phone. So Hannah, if you want to.
Yeah. Good morning. My name is Hannah Ward. I'm a GIS manager here at GeoComm. I know worked with a few of you as of recent, but I'm here today to kind of help answer some of those questions you guys might have. And not just today, but anytime you guys need help, I'm here to help support the team here that's really here to support you guys. So along with me on the phone today, I have Chris Jensen. I'll let Chris go ahead and introduce himself.
Hi everybody, I'm Chris Jensen. I'm a GIS specialist here at GeoComm. I've been part of this project pretty much from the start, so I'm one of the techs that kind of works with the data and kind of does the day-to-day processing, so I kind of got a good skill set on a lot of questions or technical parts of this process if you have any questions. So.
Great, thank you. All right, so this is what we have on our agenda for today. We've gone through introductions. We want to take a few minutes and review the State of the State GIS Assessment Report as well, and that is comprised of all the data assessments that we've done for each of the counties. So you'll see kind of what the results are of that high level. Also, we want to talk about the GIS data upload request and just review the user's guide updates that we've made. Also just some system updates as well. So before we get started with talking about the assessments reports, I want to give just a little bit of background. We have done 2 rounds of assessments for the state right now. The first round we had about 63 out of 66 counties submit their data. We received the Alien MSAG from the state. They provided a statewide set of that, so we were able to use that data and we're able to turn around 63 assessments. And we provided those results back to the counties for them to work on data remediation. The second round of assessment, we went out back again, a second round to ask for a second round of data, and we received about 31 counties worth of data for that second round. So that's what these numbers are reflecting here. It's not just so you can kind of compare apples to apples. So we still are needing some more data from those other counties that haven't submitted second time around. I know there's a lot of work and data remediation that is still going on, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Chris to kind of explain what some of these numbers are.
Okay, so like Christy said, this is really high-level summary of the results we have. Like she said, there's less uploads the second time around, so just pulling the numbers this way isn't a perfect screenshot of exactly where everyone's data was at, but I'll just kind of go over some of the different checks here. So we have the site structure layer compared to the MSAG. Between the first and second analysis, there's a slight decrease. Looking into it more, there was a few outliers that kind of dropped this a little bit lower than what it truly looks like. There's a little bit of improvement, but kind of with all of these checks besides the site structure layer compared to roads, we know that getting updates to the ALI database and MSAG database takes time. Map data updates can usually be done pretty quick because it's your own map data. You have control of the database. But these other databases, you have to go through companies like Intrado to update. So some of the results on here kind of reflect that, I think. I know I've looked at some individual data sets and known that they've updated their roads layer, but they're working on updating the MSAG. So I think the kind of decrease on some of those is a little bit to do with that. But then the ALI to sites layer, it's kind of the same thing. There was a few counties that made some really good improvements actually in there. I know a lot of people weren't maintaining a site structure layer before, so it's also good to note that we did start out, if there was no site structure layer, we used the statewide site structure layer. So that one, obviously, for many counties, they haven't been using or updating. So, so that's one that's probably going to need more cleanup, but so kind of why those numbers are a little bit lower, but same with the other site structure layer. The actual percentages are somewhat low there because of kind of the same thing. But we did, I'll kind of go to the ALI to street center line layer there. Not much change between the two. There were some counties making some good improvements there, but I just kind of overall not too big of a change, and especially with only having a smaller data set to compare to. I'm assuming a lot of those counties are either working on data or there are some numbers that we're missing that would further clarify exactly what the trend is between the two checks there. The ALI to site structure layer, compare that, we had almost a 3% increase there. There's a lot of counties making some good improvements. I know working with some of the counties specifically, there was either formatting or some other just standardization issues between the two databases, spelling out street and having an abbreviated street. Some of those are kind of issues that were fixed and kind of helped the data. Actually, one thing I should talk about, should have said before, so we have two types of checks here. We have the synchronization checks on the left part here and the ones without standardization. So the ALI to sites and the ALI to streets in the second and third column there, those checks are done with a geocode locator that has kind of a threshold, a percentage match to street names and stuff like that. So if you have street spelled out or just ST, it's a little more forgiving in that way, which is why those results are a little bit higher. The last three columns here, those are just straight data checks, character by character. So if you have any misspellings, it'll pull that out, whereas the standardized checks will kind of be more forgiving with those, and so they kind of have a higher percent match rate on some of that. So looking at the non-standardized checks here on the right side, where it's just straight data to data with no forgiveness, really, we did have some really good increases. I think a lot of that is, like I said, with standardizing street types and stuff like that, whether they're spelled out or abbreviated between the two databases, which is kind of why that left side is a little bit lower percent match rate than the right side of this table. But there was some significant improvements in quite a few counties. The ALI to streets and ALI to site structure, or ALI to street and site structure layer to the street center line layer had some really good increases, and not just a few counties getting some large increases, but actually some good increases from many counties that submitted. So it's showing pretty good improvements on everyone's part. Also, one thing I'd like to add too is that since we've kind of moved into this maintenance mode, everyone that's participated in that so far has seen very good improvements, a lot better than even these things are. And we'll kind of talk about that kind of stuff and getting your data submitted there. But I mean, this is a simple table to explain a very complicated big set of state-of-the-state results that that we have there. So, and if anybody has any individual questions outside of this too, for your data, or kind of need help with some other stuff, our team is always available to help with that, or set up a meeting and go over your individual results, or help you with anything to kind of make sense of this stuff too, and we can kind of go over some of these things with your specific county. So I think that's about it for this page here.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Chris. So that kind of leads us into our next discussion. It's been several months since we've done a data synchronization using the MSEG Alley, and as part of this process that we're doing for the state, we do that on a quarterly basis. And just to back up a little bit for maybe some of those folks that are new to this project and what we're doing here, this is really kind of the beginning stages of what the state is doing for the state of South Dakota and getting their next gen system set up. We've spent a lot of time going through assessing the data, seeing what needed to be improved. We're in the process now of getting that data improved and getting it, having it all available in a statewide map that will be used for the future routing of 911 calls. So we want to talk about that here. Now that we're at our quarterly MSEG Alley sync that we want to do, we need to get everybody's data again, if at all possible, within the next couple of weeks. Hopefully that won't be too cumbersome of a process for everyone. We understand we're not expecting perfection at this point. It's just a process here, and we want to be able to kind of see where everybody's at baseline so far. You know, I took a vacation last week, and I had a lot of time to drive across your awesome state, and our family had many adventures, and I couldn't help but think about this project and everything that the state has been doing to get their 911 centers, as well as all of their citizens, up to the next gen level of service that's coming down the road here. There's been so much time and money put into getting all of the call taker equipment the best that they can get that's available for next gen, as well as making sure that our data is at that 98% match rate that we needed to be at for routing of next gen calls. So, you know, before, and even right now, you know, we've relied on MSEG Alley to route 911 calls, and in next gen, it's going to be critical, mission critical, that the data is going to be, you know, 98% to 100% match rate in order to route those calls properly, because that's what these systems are relying on now. It's going to rely on the GIS data. So, as I mentioned, I spent a lot of time driving around with my family in our adventures, thinking about the different counties that we were in, and you have an amazing amount of land, a lot of roads, and I just was thinking, you know, how is this county doing with their data? How is that county doing? You know, if I were to have to call 911, you know, how would that work now? How accurate is everything needed to be so those first responders can do what they need to do? That's the kind of stuff I think about. Now, granted, 98% of your citizens take this for granted and aren't thinking that way. But, you know, that's something, that's the reality now. That's what we're going to be looking at. And I am really proud to be working on this project. Your state 911 board is doing some amazing work here, as well as with the cooperation from the county's PSAPs and GIS departments as well. So we are asking for your GIS data again. so we can do another assessment. Like I said, just get a baseline to see where we're at with everything. The state is going to provide another statewide MSEG alley for that synchronization. If you have your own MSEG alley that you maintain on your own, feel free to upload that to our portal. We have right now over 50 counties that have access to this DIME system. We still need to get a couple more on board. If you don't have access, we can get it to you very easily, and we'll kind of go through how that could be done. What we're asking for isn't anything more than what we had asked for last time, the same types of layers that we asked for in the other assessments. We're hoping to have that data in the next couple weeks from you, no matter what state it's in. If you could just get it to us, that would be great. Also, if you haven't already completed a field mapping spreadsheet, we will need that field mapping spreadsheet to be included with the upload. And Chris, I don't know if you want to explain how that field mapping spreadsheet works, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, so for your data to be processed through our system, we need to know what layers in your data match up with the layers that are in the standards. We would want to make sure we use the correct street name field to process your data. So basically that's what this field mapping spreadsheet does. It takes a little bit to fill out, but once you fill it out, you submit it with your data. We'll kind of check it versus your data. A lot of times, I would say most people do not pass it on the first time, so don't feel discouraged. It takes a little bit of work for us to kind of work with you and for you to totally understand it, but that's what we're here for, is to help you get your data into the system. Once your data passes that that first check, your field mapping spreadsheet doesn't need to be resubmitted or filled out or anything unless your schema changes. You can update that field mapping spreadsheet with whatever's just changed and submit it with your schema change from then on out. So it takes a little bit of work to just kind of get your data through the system once, but once it's in the system, you can just go ahead and upload your data whenever you want, and we process it. There are a couple little stipulations of how often you can upload, but we really encourage people to get at least some data into the system so we can get an idea of where people are at. It helps us understand who needs help, who we can kind of help with, and when we see the results too, we look into the results to see what kind of issues there are in the data, and we can provide some pretty quick suggestions, especially on these first few runs on some easy areas to fix or easy things to fix that really help push your data up to a much better match rate and stuff too. So, and like Christy said, we only do these ALI and MSEG synchronizations quarterly. So if you don't get your map data into the system before this one, it'll be months before we can check it against these databases again. In the meantime, you can still submit your data for GIS checks, but the MSEG and ALI checks are only quarterly. So it's really important to try to get your data into the system before this this check here. So.
And this is becoming critical to the next gen project timeline. So we would ask everybody to, if they can move this up as a on your priority list, that would be much appreciated. So we could start working to either determine maybe what resources are still needed or just to mitigate some of these GIS layers. If you can upload each time you make corrections, that's great too. Even if it's just a small number of changes, we'd appreciate the help with that.
Also to add, Christy, if you guys have any problems uploading data or aren't sure even how to get your data to us, please don't hesitate to give us a call. We're more than happy to walk through the whole process over the phone or through web meetings. Don't be discouraged if you can't figure it out on your own. We're here to help anytime.
Great. Okay. All right, so I'll spend a few minutes talking about some of the updates we've made to the DIME system and some of the updates that are noted in the user's guide, which is updated all the time. As we've discussed before, that user's guide is a living document. So when we go to make changes to the system, we do update that user's guide and get that posted to the DIME system. So at this point, I'm going to turn it back over to Chris to just kind of explain a few of the new things that we've got going on.
Okay, so we have updated the user's guide like Christy said. If you're ever wondering if you have the most recent one, it should be in a folder that's dated. when you download it, so you can always check back and see if there's been an update to it. We'll also notify, we usually send out an email with kind of all the updates we make when we make them. So right now we do have an attribute assistant update to maintain unique IDs. Some of the Esri website stuff changed, but we updated the user's guide to kind of explain the unique IDs and how to access attribute assistant, which is an Esri tool, very good tool that helps you to maintain unique IDs. You set up a few rules in there, and it updates the unique IDs for you, which is important for our process, in that our process links a lot of the errors to unique IDs, so you can it kind of helps you to find errors and see what it's looking at, and it's also necessary for you to be able to use discrepancy viewer. That tool also uses those unique IDs to link between data and QC results. So that's a pretty important part to be able to use a lot of this stuff. It's not totally necessary to submit your data, but if you really want to use some of these tools that we have out there, or really get the full aspect of all the QC checks, those unique IDs should be in your data. And then that kind of leads me into discrepancy viewer. We have updated some of the links, like you can see in this screenshot here. We do have different versions of discrepancy viewer out there now. We were able to get a version for both 10.3 and 10.4. I think we had a couple little bugs at the beginning there to work out, but as of right now, I think all the versions are being used successfully. So if you need help, there are instructions in the user's guide on how to download that, how to set it up, and we're always a phone call away to kind of walk you through it for the first setup too. And let us know if you have any issues with it or anything like that, or if it's not working correctly, or if your ArcMap is crashing from it or something, and we can have our guys kind of look at that and see if there's any updates that need to be made. Also, we do have in the user's guide, we've added an acceptable MSAG and ALI schema. The majority of the counties should be, will get from a full statewide ALI and MSAG database from the state that we'll use on the majority of counties, but we do know there are some counties that maintain their own databases. Before you submit those databases for this synchronization, we ask that you kind of look through what we have added to the user's guide. It's mostly just making sure that it's formatted right in the right tab, removing unnecessary records that'll cause fallout, like wireless records, VoIP records, some stuff like that. But that's something to be aware of if you're submitting your own MSAG and ALI. So.
Great. All right. Just a few other reminders. Chris, would you mind?
Yeah. So this kind of ties into the other part there. Discrepancy viewer is a nice tool that easily marks exceptions if you need them, and kind of makes a nice tool to look at the QC results and kind of navigate through them, organize them, and sort them. As you're marking exceptions, you won't be able to use discrepancy viewer or be able to mark exceptions unless you do have unique IDs in your data. Our process uses those unique IDs to relate, like I said before, errors to individual features. So so remember that, and also I know a question has come up that for multiple error codes or exception codes, yes, you can do multiple exception codes. The format for that is just the two numbers separated by a comma with no spaces. So for example, like 101, 304. That's something to be aware of. And also, to get the QC reports, if you haven't submitted data, submit the data. It can be submitted one time per week, and we have a 5-day business turnaround on that data. And if you need access to the portal, there is a sheet out there that you just fill out, send to our team or Shani, and Shani will approve it, and we'll get you access to the system pretty quickly within just a couple days. Yeah, I think that's about it for that.
Okay. Okay. And as I mentioned earlier, there are so many resources available if you need help. There's obviously our teams. Anytime, give us a call or send us an email. We have an email address that just dedicated and a team set up for the South Dakota project. Also, all of the recordings that we've done in the past, as well as some of the forms that we've mentioned, they're all on the State 911 website to be able to download. So we've got the user permission forms that Chris just mentioned in order to get access to the system. Very easy process, very simple form. Just fill it out, send it over to either the DIMES team or Shawnee, and we'll get that approved and set up for you. The user's guide is out there, the webinars, as well as a field mapping spreadsheet. So that is all we had to present today. Just give everybody an update on where we're at. We want to thank you very much for your time and all of the cooperation to this high priority public safety project that we're working on. Like I said, we're making great steps, and the state is doing well as far as getting the system up and running. So does anybody have any questions?
Christy, this is Shawnee. Maybe, sure. Well, we'll give folks a couple more seconds to think or type here. I just wanted to, again, just reiterate what you all said about, for all the folks around South Dakota, you know, and that are working on data, please truly contact GeoCom, contact those folks if you have questions or you're unsure about what you need to do or whatever it would be. At any time, you know, we have this project in place and we have them on contract so that we have their support there for you. I'll be the first to say that there's no dumb question you can ask. So, and they're excellent with providing technical assistance. They've been a huge asset to us through this whole project. So I just encourage you to please take advantage of that. We don't want you to sit and be completely frustrated or unsure of what to do next or where to start. So definitely reach out to them if you need something. You can always reach out to me anytime as well if you're not sure if it should go to them, and if need be, I can loop them in too. So just wanted to encourage folks to take advantage of that.
Great. Thank you, Shawnee.
Mm-hmm.
We've not had any questions come through. So if you do think of something, you know, after this is over, please send us an email. Most of you have my email address. You've definitely got Shawnee's, and then you've got the team's email. So please just send us an email, and we will get it answered. I want to thank everybody for their time.
Yes,
enjoy your day.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Christy. Thanks to your team as well. And I'll send out a note to everyone that was on today, as well as everyone in my whole GIS distribution list, to let you know when the recording is posted. So if you need to share that with other folks in your area, you can pass that along.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Christy.